Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be going over a complete comprehensive guide to choosing a weapon for Kazuha. He is primarily a support character, however there are several DPS options that we are going to look at as well. He's an anemo, so that basically means that he has options for support capabilities, and that's kind of mainly what we're going to be centering around. And as you guys know from his passive talents, we're going to try to pick weapons that are kind of oriented to his elemental mastery talent right here, Windsong Poetics. So when you trigger the swirl reaction, Kazuha will grant teammates a 0.3% elemental damage bonus to their corresponding element for every point of elemental mastery he has for 8 seconds. So basically you can have multiple of these bonuses at the same time. So I don't really know if this actually gives Kazuha some anemo damage bonus. I would think it does. Considering this weapon, but this is very, very good if you're running support Kazuha. We'll be talking about his DPS route, which is unlocked once you get to Constellation 6. This basically, I wouldn't really recommend going a DPS route if you're not planning on getting C6 on him, but basically C6 just means that his elemental mastery will also increase his normal and charged to plunging attack damage by 0.2%, so this is basically 20% of your elemental mastery. But if you guys wouldn't mind helping me out, I'm trying to get 2,000 subscribers. We're making some pretty good progress, trying to get there before the summer. But anyway, let's get into the video. So Kazuha is primarily a support character, as you guys probably already know, based on my stats and skills video I've already done for this character. So basically the weapons we're kind of looking for are ones with elemental mastery, possibly energy recharge if you want your ult up more. So first up, all of the blue weapons right here, the only really good options are Cool Steel if you're running him in like a freeze comp actually. You can get like Hydro and Cryo application on targets, and also like if you're using 4Ps of Viridescent Veneer, you're going to debuff them also to like Cryo or Hydro damage if you're running him in a freeze comp. So this weapon actually is kind of viable in that freeze comp. The Harbinger of Dawn is actually going to be really good on him also for a more DPS kind of central route, but since he's off the field, this also can be good just for boosting out your sub DPS kind of capabilities with its extra crit rate and crit damage. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the support weapons first, and then later we're going to go back and look at some of the more DPS routes. So the first support kind of weapon that I would actually recommend for you is going to be the Iron Sting. Now this is one that you can craft in the shop. So this one is actually probably going to be one of the better free-to-play options for Kazuha. This one has an elemental mastery substat, and it also gives you some bonus elemental damage up to 2 stacks. So that's going to give you a total of 12% extra elemental damage when you get these 2 stacks. And this can trigger from his ults and his E damage. So it's pretty good right there. This has a pretty average base attack of 510, which is going to be pretty okay. You're going to get your Kazuha to about, I'd say 700, almost 800 with level 90. Elemental Mastery is going to be what makes this weapon actually really good for support Kazuha. This goes all the way up to 165 Elemental Mastery. So that's actually quite a bit. And they're also going to be buffing swirl reactions in the future as well with a 1.6 update. So Kazuha is going to actually be pretty good if you run Elemental Mastery. Royal Longsword is also a pretty okay option. This is going to give you some extra crit rate if you're off the field. So what you can kind of do is make him like a off-field kind of sub DPS. If you think about it, like you're basically having this to where you're trying to make as much damage from your ult as possible by making its crit rate increase on these different stacks. And so this comes with attack percentage also and some attack right here. So what this means is that you can run, like, instead of an attack percent timepiece, you can run an elemental mastery timepiece and actually get more elemental mastery from this while still having a attack substat if this is one that you already have and don't want to forge an Iron Sting. Crystal Sword is also going to be a pretty good option. It's going to give you energy recharged, and whenever your elemental skill hits enemies, you're going to have a chance to reset its cooldown. And so what you're going to be doing with this is, since his elemental skill hold is actually a charge thing, so it pulls enemies in for a little bit and then launches you in the air, what this is going to do is have multiple chances to actually proc this. So you're pretty much going to get your E back immediately. And so what you can do is you can plunge after you get launched in the air from his first E, and then do it right after that again if you're going for a just quick damage. And then after that rotation, you'd pretty much already have your ult up. The Festering Desire Sword has a similar playstyle actually, except you only get 1 E charge. So basically you're going to just increase your elemental skill damage by 16%, and you're getting a good elemental and you're getting a good energy recharge substat. Now for the support 5-star weapons, we're going to talk about the only really support kind of one first. So Skyward Blade is the only 5-star support kind of sword that's in the game right now. However, there is one that's coming out in 1.6. I'll talk about that right after this. But Skyward Blade, it's going to increase your crit rate by 4%. You're going to get Sky Piercing Might upon using your Elemental Burst. It increases your movement speed and also attack speed by 10%. And then your auto attacks are going to do another 20% of attack. And now, what's interesting about the Inazuma characters is that they have multiple hits. And with Skyward Blade, you actually proc this 20% extra attack multiple times. So if you did want to go like kind of DPS with this character, like this isn't that bad of an option. So this has a base attack of 608 and energy recharge up to 55%. So overall, this is just a better version of like Festering Desire or some of the other weapons. The other 5-star support weapon is going to be the Freedom Sworn. Now it says Boreas Precocity up here, but they changed the name of this. And so this sword is going to give you Elemental Mastery, which is basically Kazuha's kind of gimmick. You're also going to be getting the Millennial Movement that increases your damage by 10%, so already a 10% damage buff right there. And then you can get up to 2 Sigils of Rebellion, and these will basically give you Song of Resistance. That is going to increase your normal charged and plunging attack damage by 16%, and also gives you 20% attack. Now this works for all of your characters in the party as well. So what this is actually going to do is, like, if you're running Kazuha as a support character, you're going to be proccing this, but you're going to use it with other characters. Like if you use Kazuha as a support for Xiao or someone, they're going to be getting 16% extra plunge attack damage. So that could be pretty interesting. 108 base attack and 198 elemental mastery. So this is the highest elemental mastery sword in the game right now. Now we're going to talk about some of the more DPS oriented weapons. Blackcliff Longsword, you can get this one out of the shop. Now this one is probably pretty good if you're going for Kazuha DPS. This has a high base attack of 565, so that's already a pretty high base attack if you're wanting some DPS and attack percent, goblets and that kind of stuff to do more for you. This also has crit damage that goes up to 36%, so that's going to round out your damage a lot more. Warrior Sword is actually probably going to be the best for sub DPS Kazuha, I would say, just because of its passive right here. So it increases your damage against opponents affected by Pyro or Electro by 20%. So if you're running Kazuha in a team comp with like a Hu Tao, you're actually going to be able to buff Kazuha's damage against enemies that are affected by like Pyro, for example. And with Kazuha, you're basically shooting for like support / sub DPS. So he's going to get more damage from this and from its attack substat right here. Flash actually just came out last season, and this one was on the weapon banner. I don't know of anyone that really rolled for this one specifically, but now this is actually probably the best weapon for Kazuha in terms of the 4 stars. This is damage dealt by the character equipping the weapon by 12%, so already that's a 12% damage increase. Taking damage disables the effect for 5 seconds. With Kazuha, you're going to be using your skill, so you're going to be in the air a bit, so you're not necessarily going to take as much damage from that. What makes this weapon really good on Kazuha is that its base attack goes all the way up to 620 at level 90, which is the highest base attack of all the 4 stars. And its elemental mastery substat is a little bit of extra elemental mastery for Kazuha. The Black Sword is from the Battle Pass. Now this one is going to give you crit rate and also increases your normal and charge attack damage by 20%. And it's also going to regenerate some HP whenever you get critical hits. Now this weapon is overall pretty good, but only on like DPS oriented characters. And so if you are going Kazuha DPS, this one will be a pretty viable option. It gives you 27% crit rate and has a middle kind of base attack, plus a slight extra like normal and charge attack damage. So overall this is pretty good. Now let's get into the 5 stars that are good for DPS. Okay, so Aquila Favonia is in kind of a weird spot because this weapon would be really good on Kazuha as a DPS weapon. However, if you're planning on getting C6, this weapon won't really help you when you actually proc the C6's infusion for anemo damage on his auto attacks. And so Aquila Favonia overall is a very good weapon for basically any DPS character. It gives you fizz damage that's going to increase your normal and auto attack damage basically, and that goes up to like 41%. This has a very high base attack of 674, And its passive right here, attack is increased by 20%, and triggers on taking damage. The Soul of Falcon in the West awakens, and basically that regenerates some HP for you, and then also deals a damage proc of 200% of your attack as damage to surrounding enemies, and that can happen every 15 seconds. So if you guys really want to run Kazuha DPS before C6, this is basically your go-to weapon. It's just going to increase his like auto attack damage by a whole bunch, and it fits pretty well with his overall kit. But if you guys have C6, I would not use this weapon because your physical damage substat right here is not going to help you at all. Now, Primordial Jade Cutter is actually probably Kazuha's best weapon overall, I would say. And that's basically because of its epic crit rate stat that it gives you, and also its actual HP and attack bonus that gives you here as well. Its base attack is pretty low at 542, however it makes up with that in its 44% crit rate. That's just going to give you a whole lot more crit rate. And this also gives you an additional attack bonus based on 1.2% of your max HP. Okay, that's basically the complete weapons guide for Kazuha. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. But anyway, I appreciate all of you. It's been me, Arctic. I will see you guys next time. Farewell.